Hey you all, this is Mrs. Jackson. How you all have been? I wanted to give a quick little health update on how I've been doing. I am doing so much better, okay? I'm doing so much better. I'm back at work. I kind of didn't want to go to work this early though. I was trying to hold off until September because where I work, there is like no air conditioning. So I was trying to hold off till September. But I couldn't because my insurance threatened to cut me off, like either that or I had to pay Cobra $200 something a week, and I'm like, I ain't got that. So I went back to work in mid-June. And the first week was really tough because it was so hot in there, and I just was feeling like I was gonna pass out. My body was not used to that because I was in a air controlled climate for 6 months, laying in bed, and then I pretty much was in bed for 6 months, from January to June. I was like in my bed. And if I wasn't in bed, and when I would get up, it was either I was in the emergency room. Seriously, like it wasn't fun at all. It was no vacation. Even though I was off work for 6 months, it was short. It was nothing like a vacation at all. I had to use walkers. I had to use wheelchairs. I had to use bedpans because I was too scared to get in the shower because I was afraid I was either going to one, pass out or fall. That's how bad my balance issue was. My vertigo issues were when I had the tumor. So I ended up having to buy a shower chair so I can sit down and take a shower. So that was the only way I could take a shower. Otherwise, your girl would have been just funky. Make it funky. Am I right? Your girl would have been funky. It ain't funny, but you gotta laugh to keep from crying. So I was having really bad issues with my heart rate going up every time I would stand up. And I'm talking about simply just standing up. And I'm talking about within like 25 to 30 seconds, my heart would just started racing faster and faster and faster and faster. Like, what the hell? I just stood up. That's all I did. And I felt like I was going to pass out, so I sit right back down. And once I sit down, my heart rate goes back down. And that went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. That went on from like February, I want to say from February all the way to May. So I had got the tumor removed, the brain tumor removed in March, but it was still going on. So I'm like, is this surgery really even working or not? So by May, I was finally able to stand up, and my heart wasn't racing really fast. So I'm like, okay, I see some improvement now. Some improvement, And then I was able to walk around without feeling like I was riding the waves or something. Because with my vertigo, it was so bad. It was so bad to the point I could literally just stand up and start walking, and it feels like the ground was moving. It felt like there was an earthquake going on, So I'm like, man, this is just, oh my goodness. It was terrible. And I felt kind of discouraged after my surgery because, of course, I felt worse, but that was just the healing process because I was on a whole bunch of drugs. I was on, I had just got off of anesthesia, and that made my vertigo worse. I couldn't even get out of the bed at the hospital to go to the bathroom. They needed to help me, I had my walker, my wheelchair. I still had all that stuff. And I pretty much wheelchaired myself out of the hospital because I still couldn't, my balance was still so bad. It was terrible. So like I said, the antibiotics was making me feel really bad. I remember one night it was so bad I could barely move. My daughter wanted me to make her some soup or some noodles or whatever, and my bones, my muscles, everything was so achy. I was feeling so bad I couldn't even get up to make her a pot of noodles. I was devastated. She was crying, I was crying, we was all crying. I'm like, girl, you're gonna have to get you some chips or something out from off the top of the refrigerator, because I can't do it. So what we ended up doing was, I finally felt good enough. To get up. So I Uber Eats, or what is it, Grubhub something. I forgot which one it was. I Grubhubbed us some food, So I'm like, at least I can do that. I can click a button, I can move my head up and click a button on the phone, to get, like, I got to feed my baby. I hate being sick with a child. When you have a child, it makes you feel like you're just like the most worst incapable mother ever when you're sick. And that's how I felt for those 6 months that I was feeling sick. Like, I felt just like a terrible mom because I just couldn't take care of my baby right. But I'm feeling a whole lot better now. I'm going swimming. I'm at the skating rink. I'm going to, well, I ain't going to too many events because I done got super paranoid. I've been to one concert though. I went to one concert. But lately I've been kind of backing away from going to events where there's a whole lot of people because, well, except for I just left the skating rink today, but it's just been really crazy out here, so I just gotta take my precaution. But other than that, my health has been very, very good. I still do get bouts of vertigo, but it's not to the point where I can't function with it. I can drive better now, like whereas before I could only drive for maybe 5-10 minutes at a time before I would feel my anxiety would get really, really bad. And so I'm taking this Dizzy Stop. It's all natural. It's not like meclizine, Anavert, or anything like that. And what else am I taking here? I got that off of Amazon, by the way. I'm taking this stuff too. It's Tranquiline. It's a all natural herbal formula. Daily support for stress and anxiety. Support serotonin and encourage emotional balance. Promote positive mood and relaxation. I'll tell you, I got a lot of other stuff wrong with me too. I have PTSD. A lot of stuff triggers my PTSD. I'm talking about a lot of stuff. You would never think that certain sounds, certain songs, stuff like that can trigger your PTSD, but it does. I can't even really look at flames for too long because like I said, I was in a house fire a couple of years ago and I lost my son as a result. So right now, now that my physical is getting better, I still have to work on my mental, because all that time that I was sick, my PTSD and things like that kind of lessened at that time because I was like more afraid for my life at that point because I was having panic attacks. I'm thinking I'm dying of a stroke every other day. I don't know if you all have ever had a panic attack but it is the scariest thing in the world. Your heart starts racing, you start sweating, you start feeling these sensations of warmness, coldness. You know, you just I can't explain it. It's a scary feeling. Your limbs, your fingers are shaking, and it can happen out of nowhere. And so I avoided going places. And this is while I was off work, because they started happening while I was at work. You know, I would take 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 bathroom breaks. You know, hold on 1 second. I was just placing my order. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. It started happening at work. You know, the first time that it happened was back in December. I had a panic attack, and I'm thinking maybe it was because of something I ate or something I ingested or whatever. And then I didn't think anything of it. Then they just kept happening. They started happening around like once a week or so. Then it went from once a week to twice a week. Then it went from twice a week to 3 times a week. And I'm like, what in the world, you know? And so that's when I had to start taking off work. And I didn't want to, but I couldn't have these panic attacks at work. So the ER lady actually suggested that I go to like a behavioral health meeting, you know, for people who have depression and anxiety and things like that. And I'm like, do I mean, I do have PTSD. I do suffer from depression. I do suffer from anxiety. But I know that those panic attacks weren't due to that. It was something telling me this is not depression. This is not anxiety. This is something else, you know. But you know, because on the outside I look fine, you know. So when I tell people I'm having a panic attack, they looking at me like, yeah, you just need to calm your butt down. Try not to curse over here. But when you're trying to tell people, no, I really think it's something else wrong, they look at you like, yeah, no, you just have anxiety. Go take a Zoloft and sit down somewhere. You know. So this was before I found out I had a brain tumor. So I'm like, okay, let's try some SSRIs. You know, I hated the SSRIs. I've been on SSRIs before. When my mother passed away, I was dealing with really severe depression, so I had to get on SSRIs. She died in 2015, and I got on them in 2016. I felt like a complete zombie. I had no personality at all. I didn't like it at all. So I got off of them because I just did not like the way they made me feel. Even my husband was like, you just not the same. Your personality, you know, it does keep you from crying, but it also keeps you from laughing. You know, I'm usually a person that loves to laugh, but when I was on, it was Lexapro. I didn't have a personality. I was just a freaking vegetable. Like, no, you know. Hold on, I'm next. Okay, so I just got my food, but I was on them, and I hated how I felt. Once I got off of them, I felt much better. I was more bubbly, you know. But the only thing that came back was the crying part. So it's like, no amount of medication is going to get rid of the pain of losing a loved one. You know, so I had to learn how to deal with my grief in other ways, other than drugs. Now, I take CBD and stuff like that. And I've taken a more holistic approach because they tried to put me on Zoloft a few months ago. I want to say back in January, like towards the end of January, they tried to put me on Zoloft. And I felt the exact same way I felt when I was on Lexapro. And I'm like, I can't do this. I need to look. I don't like popping pills anyway. Like, that's not my thing. You know, they tried to hook me up with psychiatrists, psychologists, and while that stuff actually does benefit you, benefit some people, what I really needed was just a therapist, and just somebody to listen to me. I also have a trauma therapist that I haven't been to in a while, but I need to go back. That helps. She actually helped me get rid of some recurring nightmares that I used to have. So I need to go back to her as well. And so I've been getting therapy. It's just physically, you know, and nothing helped except the removal of the tumor. Once I removed the tumor, I ain't been to the ER since. So it was physical. Everybody was thinking it was mental, but it was all physical. Like, you just have anxiety. I've never dealt with anxiety, not like that. You know, I've never had panic attacks. Never. I didn't have my first panic attack until I was 37 years old. You know, the last time I was in the ER was March 16th or 17th, and that was a week before my surgery. And then afterwards, I haven't been, you know. My hormones are regulating. Ladies, gentlemen, my cycle came back because I didn't have one for 2 years. I thought I was just going through the changes early. I'm like, okay. They stopped when I was like 36, you know. But a lot of things happened in my life when I was 36. I lost my son, you know, and things like that, and trauma and all of that. And they say tumors actually can be caused by stress, anxiety, and things like that, and what you eat and all of that. So I'm trying to limit my sugars, my carbs, my dairy, and even my red meats, but sometimes that can be difficult. I do pretty good during the week, Monday through Thursday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is not so promising, but I do try to eat like a vegetarian type lifestyle Monday through Thursday, sometimes Monday through Friday if it's a good week. And then Saturday and Sunday, I allow myself to eat little meats and, you know, pasta if I want. But I know y'all don't want to finish looking at a video where I'm like driving in the dark. So this is Mrs. Jackson, everyone. Just wanted to do a health update, and I will talk to you guys later. Love you. Peace out.